righty. All righty. You are looking live at Sold Out MetLife Stadium where today the 16-0 and playoff-bound New York Giants will be taking on the 0-16 Washington Commanders. Excuse me, I got to move the chair for my dog here. There you go. And why are the Washington Commanders 0-16? Because they suck. Welcome to the Gridiron. Woo! Anybody out there at all that's going to spend a little bit of time with me here this evening, I greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Or if anybody's going to spend any time watching a replay of this, once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It means the world to me. I'm going to try to go about 30 minutes here tonight. Shoot my mouth off for about 30 minutes. Anybody got anything to say, please feel free, fire away, throw it in the chat box. Usually try to check on the chat box like every 5 or 10 minutes or so. So as soon as I see something in there, I try to respond to it as fast as I can. But plus also, instead of me just rambling on for half an hour, 45 minutes, or whatever it might wind up being, it's just nice to talk to another Giant fan, sir, or any fan, anybody in particular, anybody at all. So please feel free, fire away. Before I get started, if anybody wants to help support my channel out, it would mean the absolute world to me. In the description box below, the top link in the description box takes you to my membership page. I got 3 different membership levels. The first one's called the Saquon. The second one's called the Lawrence Taylor. And the third one is called the Gridiron. Each one has their own little perks to them. So if you want to help support my channel out, I thank you so much in advance. It will mean so much to me. Thank you. Well, also, a little farther down in the description box, there's 2 additional links. The top one is a Facebook link, and which I'll get to in just a second. And then the next one, it's a Twitter link. It's always been Twitter. It's Twitter right now, and it'll always be Twitter. Whatever letter of the alphabet Elon Musk wants to call it this week or whatever, I could care less. It's Twitter. Check out my Twitter account. I put stuff on Twitter all the time. If you follow me, I will follow you back. That's an absolute promise. And also the other link takes you to my Facebook group. It's called the New York Giants, the Gridiron. It's a group. We have over 6,900 members in the group. It's doing very, very well. The stuff goes in there every day. If I'm alive and breathing, if I have internet access, I got stuff going in there. And not only do I have stuff going in there, but if you become a member, members post stuff in there as well, too. So between me and the members, there's a ton of New York Giants information going in there every day. All right, well, all that stuff said and done and out of the way with. Well, guys, we got a big game ahead of us tomorrow. Big game. Pretty much. I mean, Giants are kind of like whatever, ECU or something, whatever. They're kind of like on life support here. You know what I mean? I'm going to give them like one more loss. You know what I mean? If we go 1-6, flat line. Right. We're pulling the plug on the season. It's 1-6. And I don't mean just start selling off everybody and everything, but I'm just saying as far as playoffs. Because then we're basically down to be 10 games, and the Giants would have to go 8-2 at the absolute worst just to make the playoffs. You know what I mean? So I don't think there's any possible. I mean, if the Giants start 1-6, they win 1 game out of the first 7. I can't possibly see them win 8 out of the final 10, especially when, if they lose here to the Commanders, they have to play the Commanders again. They have to play the Jets. We got a bunch of games, but I mean, have to play the Eagles twice, the Cowboys. I mean, it's not happening. Not happening, guys. It's over. So, you can say whatever you want. I mean, this is a huge game, to keep the Giants' playoff hopes alive, slim as they are. But I mean, as I said, there is 11 games left in the season. That's still a lot of time. Anything can happen. Things start going right for the Giants. We start getting some injured players back. Right, we got Saquon back. We start getting Andrew Thomas back. Right, John Michael Schmidt's back. We start getting some type of resemblance of an offensive line back. The defense seems starting to gel. Karake is really seeming to do good. Knock on wood that for the most part, the defense is relatively healthy for the most part. The defense seems to, obviously, it's take away, Miami put up some points and some numbers on us. Got to give them that, but they've been doing that with everybody. But I mean, other than that, the Seattle game, the Giants did very, very good. Obviously, last week against Buffalo, they didn't score till the fourth quarter. So the defense seems like it's starting to come on. This is a game, where, the defense can do decent. I'm not saying we're going to shut them out by no stretch of the imagination, but this is it's a winnable game. Even all the problems and injuries the Giants have, backup quarterback in there, be probably maybe the seventh starting different offensive line at the Giants. I mean, absolutely amazing. We can't even start the same offensive line 2 weeks in a row or any time throughout the whole season. Absolutely amazing. But this is still a winnable game, and 2-5 would, pump a little bit of life. We get a little boop. Right, we got a little bit of sign of life in the Giants at 2-5. As far as the playoffs, actually, I haven't even just for let's see here, NFL standings. I mean, this is still way early. 2023. Here we go. Let's look at all right. Here we go. Let's look at the NFC. Whoops. I'm at the AFC. There we go. National Football. Now, the problem is, the Giants lost to the Seahawks. So the Seahawks have the one up on the Giants, which is not good. But, I said, you look at the NFC North. The Lions are running away with that. Looks like they're going to win that. The Packers are below 500. The Bears are below 500. The Vikings are below 500. The NFC South, there ain't nobody there that scares me at all. The Saints are 3-4. The Panthers are 0-6. The Falcons are 3-3. The Buccaneers are 3-2. So, there's nobody there that scares me at all. We can overtake any of those teams. I'm not saying we are. Certainly not saying we are. But between the NFC South and the NFC North, those two divisions right there, period, bar none. The Giants, could certainly, I could see if the Giants were to go on some type of a run here to try to make a wild card. I could definitely see without question the Giants, if they go on a run, possibly beating out any team as far as for a wild card berth in the NFC North and South, because there's no teams there that there's no team in the South, period, that impresses me. There's no team other in the North other than the Lions. So between the North and the South, there's obviously 8 teams. There's one team there that impresses me. The other 7, forget about it. No, there's out of the other 7, there's nobody there that frightens me, scares me, impresses me. Nothing, right? So then you go to the NFC West, right? I said the Rams are 500. The Cardinals, their season's pretty much over. But I said you got the Seahawks and the 49ers. So just the way it is right now. But the Seahawks are 3-2. They want to win tomorrow against the Cardinals to stay ahead of the Rams. But obviously we're going to be playing the Rams a little bit later on. So it's amazing. We've already played out of our 6 games. Half of our 6 games against the NFC West we've played so far. But the Rams are battling in there. But so the Giants, there's 2 divisions basically as I'm looking at it right now. If the Giants were somehow to make some type of a playoff run, there's basically 2 divisions that I'm not really overly concerned about as far as like a team like the Saints or the Falcons or something all of a sudden going on a magical carpet ride, winning 10 games in a row or something, and just being like 10-7 and having a good wild card playoff record. I'm not worried about none of that. So so that there's not many teams. Actually, if you look at it, honestly, my goodness, there's the Seahawks and the Cowboys. There's only 2 teams in the NFC right now that are in second place or below that have a winning record. The Seahawks are 3-2, and the Cowboys. There's no other team that's in second place, third place, or fourth place that has a winning record in the NFC. So you tell me we got a chance, right? But it's like, really. If you look at it, of course, it's still early. This, things will work them way out and all that. But I said between the South and the North, there's nobody there that impresses me at all out of those 8 teams except for the Lions. You go to the West. I said you got the Seahawks and the And I'm not even overly impressed with the Seahawks. But I said you got the 49ers, right? And I said then you have the Giants in the division, right? You have obviously the Cowboys, right? And you got the Eagles. But then I said the Commanders are 3-3. Commanders are, you look at the Commanders. I mean, they lost to the Bears. They got killed by the Bears. They barely beat the Cardinals week 1. They barely beat who else did they barely beat? The Broncos. Then again, they went on the road against Philadelphia and they took them to overtime. I said they got smoked by the Bills. They did beat the Falcons last week. So, I mean, they're kind of like, they can win without question. But they can also play sometimes they play down to their opponent sometimes. And they're playing the Giants. So they might be playing down to their opponent. Possibly. So, if the Giants were to somehow go on some type of a unbelievable magic carpet ride here, there's not like 7 other teams that have good, juicy wild card, chances. Don't see it. Right. So it is kind of weak. Right. I mean, you got the 49ers, you got the Lions, you got the Cowboys and the Eagles, right? Basically, you got 4 good teams, and everybody else is just kind of underneath them. Right. So, like I said, a long way to go, a lot left to go. The Giants are going to have to stay healthy in the games they're playing in and get some guys returned to have kind of a chance. As I said, you can certainly see that the defense. That there's no more Miami that they're playing the Eagles now. Let's hope that Miami puts up as many points and yards and all that against the Eagles as they did against the Giants, because the Eagles defense is not that great. So let's hope the Dolphins kick some Eagle butt tomorrow night. That would be absolutely fantastic. Absolutely would love it. But so there's no more Miami on the list. I said the Giants against Seattle did very, very well, and defensive-wise. And last week against Buffalo, we did very, very well against Buffalo. So all in all, is it going to be easy? Absolutely not. But the Giants, small chance. But I pretty much will pretty much say that for the most part that if the Giants lose tomorrow, it's forget about it. You're 1-6. Forget about it, right? So must-win game if you want to. Tomorrow, if the Giants, want to have any type of playoff chance. So that takes, of course. Now we got to start with Daniel Jones. Now he's out. All right. So the Giants did raise a couple brought up a couple guys. They say the Giants will be without quarterback Daniel Jones on Sunday against the Commanders. Jones has been listed as questionable, but as of Friday has not been cleared for contact. So the quarterback practiced on a limited basis during the week, throwing during individual periods, but not doing any teamwork. Quarterback Tommy DeVito has been elevated from the practice squad to be the backup to Tyron. DeVito was also elevated for last Sunday's game against the Bills. Now the thing is that, you can only, the tricky thing they have here with DeVito, right, is you have to elevate him so many times, and then you have to put him on the roster. So if they're to elevate him, I think the third time, I think they would have to put him on the roster. So I'm not exactly sure what the heck they would wind up doing there, especially if Daniel Jones comes back. Don't quite know exactly how they would wind up doing it, but that's down the road. And of course, then the offensive lineman Jalen Mayfield is also being elevated from the practice squad. Mayfield was added to the 53-man roster last week, waived. This just goes to show you, how it's like the roller coaster ride that a lot of these players wind up having, especially on the practice squad. If you're on the bubble of the 53 or whatever, it's a roller coaster ride. It is what it is. Jalen Mayfield was elevated from the practice squad. Mayfield was added to the 53-man roster last week. After the game was over, he was waived. he was re-signed to the practice squad and will be part of Sunday's game, this roster. So, I mean, it's like, he gets elevated. He's on the roster after the game's over. They let him go. And then he comes back to the practice squad. He gets elevated. It's sometimes it's just it's like a roller coaster ride for some of these guys, like on the bubble at a 53, or if they're on the practice squad or whatever. But so we're going to have DeVito there. So now, let's keep in mind, Tyrod, unfortunately, one of his problems, doesn't have too many, but one of his problems is his tendency to get injured. So if he does, we're going to see Mr. DeVito in the game. Got anxious to see what the DeVito can do. I said I love Tyrod, and I'm so happy we have him as our backup quarterback. I couldn't be more ecstatic that we have Tyrod Taylor as our backup quarterback. Absolutely fantastic. The thing is, he's not the long-term solution. He's not somebody that the Giants are trying to groom and have as a backup, maybe going forward. Or I'm just small, slim chance where DeVito takes off and does well and winds up maybe making the 53 and it winds up being the backup or maybe the start, who knows, whatever. But the Giants, ideally would like to have somebody they maybe bring in, draft, whatever, groom them and have them at least be the backup quarterback. See, Tyrod's not the long-term solution. This is Tyrod. I think he has some dead money next year. Not too much, but he has some dead money. But he's not on the roster next year. They would have to re-sign him once again. Now, the thing is are they going to keep Jones and then have DeVito? Don't know. But as I said, Tyrod is not the long-term solution. I said, ideally, what you would like to do is have a backup quarterback. You teach him your system, especially if he's in the system for multiple seasons. He becomes very, very familiar with it, so that way he can just run on the field. I'm not saying he's going to take the team to the glory land or nothing like that, Super Bowl, but he can just run on the field and he knows everything. He knows, he knows all the calls, and he knows this, he knows that, and he knows it all, right? So that's something they might want to be looking forward to with DeVito. So I'm very, very anxious to see if DeVito ever gets on the field. See what he can do. He did do pretty well during the preseason. I know he had a real bad pick 6, but you learn from it, you put it behind you, and you keep on moving forward. And I think the guy did a very serviceable job in preseason, considering the absolute fire he was under, almost snap in and snap out. As soon as he got the ball, seemed like there was 2 or 3 defensive linemen in the back. I said the 5 Ds of dodgeball. He would get the ball, and then the 5 Ds popped up because there'd be like 2 or 3 guys in the backfield, and all he was doing was dodge, dive, dip, duck, and dodge. The 5 Ds of dodgeball. He was dodging and diving and ducking and running and dipping and doing and this and that just to get away so he can throw a pass. Just absolutely atrocious. You don't know whether to laugh or cry. But I'm very anxious to see if DeVito ever winds up getting in there, see what he could do, especially if we ever got like Andrew Thomas back, Michael Schmidt's back. We have a nice offensive line in front of him. We can maybe give him a little bit of protection to see what he could do with some of the weapons he has out there. Very anxious to see. But so once again, DeVito is up from the practice squad. Then, of course, good old Josh Ezeudu. Now, he understandably so. I guess he'd be a little pissed off because he got an injury there that possibly caused him his season. Suffered a potential season-ending injury against the Bills on Sunday night, leading to him criticizing the team's turf. Injuries on turf fields have been an unfortunate trend in the NFL this season, sparking a plethora of debates over how safe fields are. New York Giants offensive lineman Joshua Ezeudu was among the latest to fall victim to that trend. The 2022 third-round pick suffered a toe injury that will likely end his season on the artificial turf of Highland Stadium in Sunday night's loss to the Buffalo Bills. Once again, all we need is lose another offensive line. In the wake of that injury, Ezeudu criticized the Bills not just for using turf, but the exact type of turf that they do use. Other turf is better, Ezeudu told NJ.com. Turf is still turf, but I think our turf is better. There are just different types of turf. Our turf feels like, with its thickness, it actually gives some. Our turf, it feels more like grass. You still know it's turf, but it's way more thick than the Bills' surface. It feels full at MetLife Stadium. According to ESPN, the exact type of turf the Bills use is called, these turfs, there's so many of them. The type that the Bills use is called A Turf Titan 50. And they are the only team in the league to use it. Meanwhile, the turf the Giants used at MetLife Stadium is known as Field Turf Core System. While no other team, save for the New York Jets, who play on the same venue, use that exact type, several use similar field turf materials. While they play on artificial turf, the Bills have been vocal about their support for grass fields. And after Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers suffered a torn Achilles tendon in the season opener against Buffalo at MetLife Stadium, no less, Bills coaches and players backed the NFLPA's call for universal grass fields. Absolutely. Let's get some grass fields on there. Absolutely. And then it's going to cost a little bit of money or whatever, but the NFL's pooping out gold. There's plenty of money to go around there. And I would absolutely love to get grass on that's the way football was first made. That's the way football is meant to play on. Out, no domes, on grass, in the sun, light, whatever, in the natural elements. That's football, not turf with the dome, with the 70-degree temperature and the air conditioning and no wind and no rain. No, that's not football. Outside in the elements, right, on grass, that's football. And I absolutely love it, because then it's one more debate that you can lay to rest, right? Turf, the injuries, and grass, and no, we all got grass. We're not worried about turf no more. And it is amazing because regardless if you think it's grass is that much safer or that much this or that. I mean, there some certainly reports and all out there that just show that, and you can people are going to argue back and grass is a little bit, there is a lot more safer or this, that, and but there's just reports out there that show that grass is safer. And if you're trying to save some money, because you put the turf out there and it's just okay. Don't got to water it. Nope. Don't got to weed and feed it. Nope. Don't got to thatch it. Nope. Don't got to rake it. Nope. Don't got to aerate it. Nope. Don't got to reseed it. Nope. 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 So there's that. There's an expense with the grass, and I get it and all that. I understand. But then again, you start looking at it like this, right? How much is it? How much does it cost you to basically take a season or two or this or that or whatever and just throw it down the dumper, right? Just take it, open the toilet bowl lid, drop it in there, close that, and how much does it cost you to flush a season down the toilet? Meaning, how much does it cost you? All right, what's it cost when you start losing some ball players on turf because of maybe turf-related injuries? How much does that cost you? Right? Nobody starts thinking about that kind of stuff. It's always like, it's going to cost money. Well, tough. You want to own it? You want to own a franchise? Well, there you go. You got to put in grass. At the end of the day, though, Ezeudu holds no ill will toward the Bills for their choice of turf. Just a freak accident, Ezeudu said. My toe, I guess, just got stuck in the turf as I planted my feet. Whatever happens, it was out of my control. I couldn't control this because I know I take care of my body. I still feel great. This is something that just happened that I couldn't control. That's just a reality. That's really just all it is. I'm sorry. So, once again, as I said before, I know in 2026, that MetLife Stadium has got to have because the World Cup's coming to town. Cool. Or World Cup's coming to the U.S. Cool. Love the World Cup. Absolutely freaking love the World Cup. Anyway, but you got to play on grass. So to get World Cup at the stadium, you got to put grass in. So now it's going to be interesting. So you got the rest of the season. We got 2024 and 2025. So summer 2026, when the World Cup comes to town, they're going to lay down grass. Now, after this World Cup is over, what are they going to do? Take the turf and just pick it up and just and have this the grass. I'm sorry, pick the grass up and just get rid of it and go back to turf. Or are they going to keep the grass in there and give it another chance? Because remember, from 2000 to 2002, I think it was just 3 seasons, the Giants actually had grass at Giant Stadium. Never worked out real well. It got chewed up too much. But the biggest reason why was because one week you had the Giants, next week you had the Jets. Next week you had the Giants, then you had the Jets. Then you had the Jets, and you had the Jets, and you had the Giants, and you had the Giants. And every week was getting chewed up, right? Unlike maybe like Lambeau Field, right, where maybe just the during the course of the season, the Packers might have maybe 10 games that they're going to play on Lambeau Field, the 2 preseason games, and just say this happens to be the one, it's every other year. One year they have 9 home because of the 17 games. One year they got 9 home games, then they have 8, then they have 9, then they have 8, right? So this just could be the one year that, say, at Lambeau Field, the Packers have 8 regular season home games, and then they have 2, maybe one, maybe even one game at home during preseason. So they might only have 9 games. They could have maybe 10 games here. You know what I mean? So you look at it like Lambeau Field, as far as the Packers being on there, there might be 9 or 10 games played there during the season. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that's the only thing, Lambeau Field, nothing else gets played in there, but you get my point. I said, unlike the Giants and the Jets, where basically every weekend there's a game being played in for like whatever, 20 weeks, and it just chewed it up. And so they had a hard time with that. So it'd be interesting to see what the Giants do after when the 2026 World Cup is over. Be interesting to see. I hope they go back to grass. I would absolutely love it. That's what I was growing up on. I love nothing better than grass. That's football. Football is supposed to be played on grass, and it's safer, right? So I'm all for it. All right, then we got the hammer. Good old hammer time. Can't touch this. Good old Scottish hammer. Well, for all the things that he was getting kind of yelled at like last year and this, that, and like out kicking his coverage and this and that and whatnot, and and kicking it far, but not kicking it high, right? Because you're out kicking your coverage, right? He's starting to do better. I'll tell you, he's starting to do better. I think we got ourselves at, how old is he? Let's see. Here we go. All right, the hammer time. Does it say? Yeah, it's going to say 26 years old, right? Only 26. He's just a baby, right? 26 years old. I mean, sometimes teams go through punters, like nothing, right? Just like water. But I mean, he's only 26. I mean, if things stay the way they are, I would love to see somebody like a Dave Jennings, where we had him for the longest time. I think we had him from like 73 to 84 or something, whatever it was, 85, whatever it was. I would love to see somebody, the Giants have a punter for a long period of time, and the hammer really seems to be turning things around, which is really, really good. There was always hope for him, but I mean, he just was not performing that well, but he really does seem to be turning things around this season. The Giants player has quietly emerged as the most improved thus far, and it's hard to argue with that. The Giants' most improved player thus far this season is probably a guy who last year, going into the start of the season, the fans were hoping the team would dump. Oh, boy. Well, the fans are brutal, aren't they? That would be punter Jamie Gillan, the Scottish Hammer, who, after struggling with his consistency problems, has quietly put together a string of mostly solid punts that have helped this team win the field position battle. There's not many guys in the league with the leg that he has. He's definitely taken a step forward, says special teams coordinator Thomas McGahee. I think I attribute it to him just getting more comfortable in who he is and trying to use his skill set better. Just kind of getting the ball in his hands and just reacting, not thinking, right? Just getting it and just going through the motions instead of thinking, right? Specifically, the Giants have worked more rugby-style kicks into Gillen's repertoire. With noticeable success in his last 3 games, Gillen has recorded 7 out of 9 on the season punts inside the 20 in his last 3 games. His net average is currently a career best 45.1. And we're going to go over some stats from last year. And thanks to his punting and coverage team, the Giants have only allowed 71 return yards on punts, which is fantastic so far. Basically, what would that be? They basically average in 6 games. So basically, they've averaged 12 punt return yards per game. 12 yards. We can deal with that without question. Gillen, who earned a 2-year contract worth $4 million this past offseason, has always had a big, strong left leg that the Giants have envisioned as an advantage. However, his inconsistency in punting throughout the game, he'd usually be good for at least one clunker per week, made his performance maddening to watch sometimes. But since allowing Gillen to punt in a style that he's more comfortable with, things have quieted down to where Gillen has been an asset rather than a detriment. Those rugby guys, is McGahee talking, I mean, they're different. Jamie is one of the best ball strikers I've ever coached, and he can hit a variety of different punts. So just trying to do a better job as coach managing him, trying to put him in a position where he feels comfortable and he's not thinking. He's just letting that muscle memory kick in, McGahee said, noting that the Giants first began experimenting with having Gillen punt rugby style toward the end of the last year. He's done a really good job of developing his routine and coming out here and just working hard and trying to work at the different types of kicks he has. So now if you go to what, let's see, this year. All right, Gillen, 48.7 yards per punt. Now, last season, he was at 46.8. So this year, not only is he averaging 2 more yards per punt, but this year is 48.7. His net is 45.1. So basically, we're looking at a 3.6 yard returns. Basically, every time he punts the ball, it gets returned for 3.6 yards. Very impressive. Last year, it was twice as bad. Last year, he was 46.8 yards per punt, but his net was 39.7. So basically, it got returned every time he punted. It lost 7 yards. That's not acceptable. So this year, it's gotten twice as good. It's gotten half as good, or whatever you want to call it, right? This year, about 3.5 yards per punt return. That's very, very acceptable. Last year was 7 yards. So he's got a lot better. But that also just goes to show you, right, with his punts maybe being more like this, coming down. So when they come down, as they're coming down, your gunners are coming down too. And as it's coming down, the guy's looking up. He's looking at the gunner, looking up, looking at the gunner. It's like, oh, fair catch. I'm not going to have time to try to catch it and do anything with it because the gunners are going to be down on me. Now, the thing is, when he booms them like this, right? And the guy might have to back up 5, 6, 7, 8 yards, whatever. He's looking, and he's looking at the gunners. It's like, Christ, they're 20 yards away from me. I'm going to catch this ball in about 1 second, and they're about 20 yards away, 15 yards, whatever. Catches the ball, boom, puts it away, looks. I still got 10 yards before the gunners are on me. You get up, whatever, you make one guy miss or whatever, because it's a lot easier, obviously, to make a guy miss as he's coming, instead of catching it and the guy's on top of you, right? But, usually there was always at least one clunker, if not 2, during the course of a game, where you just kind of like, it's a nice long kick, but then there's a nice long return back. And that was so unacceptable. So unacceptable. I mean, the way things have gone so far this season, the Giants need almost everything to go right for them just to win a game. And it should. The less thing, honestly, without being a rocket scientist here, the less things that go wrong, the easier it is to win. But I mean, the Giants need with the injuries they got and all that stuff, they need everything to go right. And you can't have, like, as I said, like, have a punt return for a touchdown or a long punt return. You can't have that. And the Giants have done very, very well. Now, you take away that one against the Lions in preseason. Other than that, the Giants, had when there was a return against the Jets. So the preseason wasn't too good, but we've starting to do very, very well during the regular season, and that will certainly help against talking about the Commanders, right? Especially because Jamison Crowder, I'll tell you what, he brought one back. I think it was 61 yards last week against the Falcons. He got tackled down at the 10-yard line. And that Jamison Crowder, without question, is going to want to, try to return something again, because he's only caught 2 passes all season long. But he's going to want to try to return something against the Giants without question. It's just like, yeah, you didn't want me on your team. You let me go. Yeah, all right. Well, I just returned a punt against you for a touchdown. How do you like me now? Right. So he's going to want to return something back, and he's going to want to take it to the house. So we're going to need the best from Gillen, and we're going to need the best from our gunners, without question. But certainly Jamie has done a very, very good job. Very good job this year so far. Now the Giants, of course, are 3-point underdogs. Whew. Still getting no love. Well, that's understandable. Understandable. The Giants are currently 3-point home underdogs for Week 7 against the Commanders. The spread rose from 1.5 points earlier this week. So the over-under, which opened up at 40, is now down to 37.5 total points. So I'm not sure if that had anything to do at all with maybe Daniel. It was only 1.5, and the point total was over-under was at 40, maybe because Daniel Jones might play, but now he's been pretty much ruled out. Now that's why it came down. So even less points are going to score. But you look at last week, the Giants lost 14-9, and the Commanders beat the Falcons 24-16. So just low-scoring games, right? The Giants are 1-5 versus the point spread this season, and 5 of their 6 games have gone under. So, So if you're, well, the point it says 37.5. Right. So, now we're looking at like a 20-17 game, 20-16 game. I can certainly see that without question. I got the Giants. I got maybe going a little bit over, a little bit over. Now, if you start looking, Buffalo's got the Fab Four, the front 4 defensive wise. But they've given up some. Their secondary is. Let's take a look at some of the numbers, shall we? All right, the Commanders. Let's see now here. They've given up about 250 yards a game. They average 250 yards a game themselves, so nothing super spectacular. Let's see here. They give up 4.6 yards per rush, right? Their front 4 is very, very good, but what I'm hearing and all, they basically have like a 2 high safeties usually. So maybe a lot of stuff in front of them, so maybe Wan'Dale Robinson, maybe a Darren Waller, maybe maybe Saquon out of the backfield, maybe screens or something like that could be big. So maybe they try to keep some stuff in front of them. They try to, prevent things, but they have given up some long passes though too. Right. But if you look, both teams, the defenses should be a lot better than they are, but so far this season, they're not. The Redskins are giving up, is it 29 points per game they're giving up. The Giants aren't much better. The Giants are giving up, was it 20? This is it. The Giants are giving up 27. 27.8. So basically, the Giants are giving up almost 28 points a game. The Commanders are giving up 29 points a game. The Commanders obviously score more than the Giants. The Commanders averaging 22 points a game. The Giants only averaging 11 points a game. So, Right. But Howell has done well. Howell has thrown 6 interceptions this season. However, 4 of them came in one game, right? So that means he's had 9 touchdowns and 2 interceptions in his other 5 games. I think, if I remember it, listen, he's only given up, he's only thrown 1 interception in his last 3 games. So he's done very, very well. He does like to hold on to the ball. Therefore, he's also been sacked the most amount of times. He's been sacked 33 times because he just likes to hold on to that ball. Then just to go to show you where the Giants can maybe, the Giants got some, last week they got a couple turnovers. It's Dolphins, they got some turnovers. The turnovers might be huge in this game. But just to go to show you, I think Atlanta came into last week's game against the Commanders only having 5 sacks on the season. The Giants only have 5 sacks. Absolutely. 5 sacks in 6 games. Freaking pathetic. But the Falcons came into last week's game against the Commanders. I think, if I remember correctly, listen, they only had 5. Well, they got 5 sacks last week. So a very bad Atlanta defensive pass rush got 5 sacks on Howell last week. So if they get 5 sacks on the Giants can get some sacks on Howell without question. Now, of course, he does have some very talented receivers and players on his team, without question. I mean, nobody has unbelievably eye-popping stats for, let's see here. Samuel has 27 receptions for 287 yards. Logan Thomas, their tight end, has 19 receptions. McLaurin has 31 receptions. Jahan Dotson has 17 receptions. I mean, so, between Samuel, McLaurin, and Dotson, they have 3 very nice wide receivers. They don't have an ABCD Lamb or Brown, a Chase, but they have 3 very nice weapons to go through. And then, of course, Logan Thomas is a very nice tight end as well. Robinson and Gibson are nice running backs. I think Robinson had a nice game against us last season. I think it was the game here. He, running-wise, he had a nice game against the Giants. So, I mean, the Giants' run defense is not super spectacular, but Howell, has done well. Howell run as well too. But he said he does like to hold on to the ball. But he has some weapons to throw the ball to. So, can the Giants totally shut him down? No, I don't see that. But I mean, we have seen some life from the Giants defense, and I certainly think that it's going to be a low-scoring game. I don't see it being anything crazy unless there's a couple of pick sixes or a fumble return back for a touchdown or somebody returns a punt or something, whatever for a touchdown. I don't see a lot of teams just walking up and down the field. I do see the Giants scoring a couple of touchdowns in this game and at least keeping it close, making it close and all. One of the key things also will be Saquon, right? You got it. You have to want to keep feeding him the ball. But it also helps to be in the game. You can't be down 17-0 early in the third quarter and, hey, let's establish the run, right? You got to, it helps if you can have a lead, keep a lead, or at least worst come to worst, stay in a game where you keep Saquon's running ability because, I mean, Saquon opens up so many other avenues for you. I mean, the play action, right? Or just handing the ball off to him, let him run, and then all of a sudden he pops one. He has had some nice runs against the Redskins football team / Commanders, whatever, in the past. He has. So having him out there on the field would be freaking huge. But Tyrod is very good with the ball. He's very smart, very intelligent. Lots of experience, and he has his legs too. If he sees some danger, he can maybe run out of danger. But they said their Fab Four, front four, is very, very good. So he's going to definitely have to be on his P's and Q's. Let's see, what do they have here? Let's see. I said they've given up. I mean, just yeah, I said, see, sacks here, sacks. They have 19 on the season. So, yeah, but they've given up 34 going to Pro Football Reference. So, 19 sacks in the season. So, very respectable. But I said, but usually they'll get their pressure from their front four. So, Taylor's going to have to, be on alert. But I said, but he's very good with the ball. He doesn't put the ball in harm's way. As we saw, he had some nice passes last week against the Bills. Can we keep that up? Can we keep up? Can we get a couple more turnovers? But if we get a turnovers, we got to cash them into touchdowns. If we get into the red zone, we got to cash that into touchdowns. We just can't keep kicking field goals all the time. Can't keep doing that. And I said, this is a huge game. I said, the Giants are 2-5. They got a little bit of pulse to them. If they go 1-6, you can probably pretty much forget about it. I don't see the Giants selling off pieces left and right before the trade deadline. But who knows? But so predictions. So I got the Giants winning this one 21-20. Think it'll be a close game. I think the Giants, they have their color rush jerseys on. The place will be going crazy. Especially trying to get the Giants a little bit of life left in them. I think a lot of people realize that maybe if we wind up losing this game, you could pretty much kiss the playoffs goodbye. If we win this, we have a little bit of life left in us. As far as a playoff push, I think it'll be close, low-scoring game, close game. I think the Giants wind up pulling out by a point, maybe 27-20, 23-20, something like that. Something close, something relatively low-scoring, in this game. And I think the Giants will wind up going 2-5 and getting a win. And then, of course, that makes the game the next week against the Jets all that more important. Because to go to 2-5, and if you can beat the Jets, now you're 3-5. You got a little bit of momentum going. Then then you have the Raiders coming, right? You got the Patriots. You got some more winnable games coming up, and anything's possible. And the thing is that if we can win a game and keep some momentum going, and then you get then Michael Schmitz comes back. Then maybe you win a game, and then maybe Andrew Thomas comes back. That'd be huge. Absolutely huge. We got Saquon back last week, and he played a huge part in the game. Of course, we didn't come out with the W, but Saquon was huge on the field. So can we start getting some more guys back? That would be absolutely huge. Well, guys, it's been 47 minutes. Whoever spent any time at all listening to me live, thank you. Or if anybody spends any time watching a replay, this once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It means the world to me. Well, guys, big game tomorrow. I'll be back again with the recap, right? Hopefully it's a recap of a Giants W, right? So, as always, you guys stay safe out there and go Giants. Woo! Oh, yeah.